welcome to Xena Warrior Podcast. My name is Vera, and I am joined, as always, by my two capricious co-hosts, Katie.
Hello.
And Livy.
Hello. Why capricious?
Because I felt that way. Actually, Nora felt that way. Who provides our words? Sometimes.
Ooh, which ones have you picked?
At this point, I could not tell you. Like, the stupider ones, probably. What day is it today, guys? Remember the 5th of March.
That's not how it goes. Where we didn't schedule things correctly.
Oh, no.
Oh, well.
We have so failed. We came so close to putting out Ides of March, the episode, on the actual Ides of March. It's not even funny.
No.
But you know what? In a way, I'm relieved, because if we were doing that, like recording Ides of March on Ides of March for Ides of March, I'd be like staring at each of you being like, where's the knife? I know you're coming for me. I know it's about to come out.
Yeah, meanwhile, I would have intense craving for Caesar salad. Well, today is another crazy thing, which is that we have 2 episodes.
Whoa.
When was the last time we did this?
Insanity.
We should have looked it up. I don't know.
I think it was like late season 3 somewhere.
Oh my goodness.
It was like Tsunami, and I think it was that.
Yeah, that sounds
Vanishing
right.
Act Tsunami,
Oh, okay.
maybe.
All right, cool.
Sounds
Well, this is
good.
kind of similar, right?
Yeah, Talcus is up in there.
Okay, and terrible also. So very similar to that duo there.
Do you guys even still remember how to talk about 2 episodes?
No. I'm
have
going to
no
concentrate on the first one.
I just know that I certainly have less to say about one of these.
Truth.
And it's the convert. Boo. No, I'm like, really. That's a joke.
Well, shall we begin?
Yeah, let's do it.
418, The Convert. Written by Chris Mannheim and directed by Andrew Merrifield.
Chris.
We haven't seen Andrew Merrifield in a while. I think the last episode he directed would be maybe Vanishing Act?
No.
He definitely
I don't
did Been
know.
There, Done That.
Wow. This is such a
Okay.
drama.
Yeah, he disappeared for a long time. And now he's back.
Okay.
I thought this was a very visually striking episode.
I liked it, and I like him. We owe him a lot because he stepped in. He was the hero in The Deliverer.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, hi, Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
I don't know what that was.
I don't know. Well, I love this beginning. This is what I mean by very visual. Like, we're in a temple, which has stained glass, which makes you think that it's a church.
It
was
weirdly,
very
like,
churchy.
Yeah.
in the very beginning, like the very first shot is weird because it just like is on some kind of nothing thing.
Yeah,
That
it was
just stays
abstract
there for
almost.
like way longer than it
Yeah.
should. But then it's pretty.
It's really pretty. I mean, it's a tracking shot, so we're like going all over this temple, and we're seeing all the action. And the temple is basically being attacked by some goons. They have visual marks, like a claw tattoo.
Oh, you said claw. I thought they were tiny combs.
Tiny combs.
Creighton the Warlord just loves combs.
Oh, combs. I thought like codes, like little traffic cones in a row.
No, combs.
I love this fake out, how you see the hands together in prayer in that super
Yeah.
close up, and you're like, oh, this guy's just super intense about his prayer. But then you realize that he's being stabbed, so his like trembly
Yes.
prayer hands are actually just like, I'm dying.
This goon slits this dude's throat, and the guy falls kind of like in an arty slow-mo way.
Very arty.
Yeah.
At first with the slow-mo, I was like, Rick, is this you?
Alas, no.
Andrew was just doing a very good Rick impersonation.
Yes. Remember when people used to do TJ impersonations?
I know, now they've moved on to
Oh,
Rick.
TJ.
TJ, you know. Yeah, so I actually, speaking of TJ, I thought this was such a, the last time we saw this kind of shot was in Callisto, the opening of Callisto, where the little boy falls.
That's true,
you know,
and
the
that too
soldier
was very
falls.
dreamlike and weird.
Yeah.
And violent in
Right,
its
yeah.
weirdness.
So not to mention then we have this intense blood drip. You know, when's the last time we saw that?
Yeah,
on
that
Xena?
was crazy. This whole opening made me think about our conversation about Plays the Theme. the place, the thing.
The thing.
And about violence and the way the show is maybe like developing this more critical attitude towards the violence, like in the way it's being portrayed. Like here you have like the violence being really scary. Like this is not fun violence at all.
No, but I mean it's all part of the theme of the episode.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to get, you know, Creighton.
And
the crux
also
of the
very
episode.
like horrific, sacrificial, altar blood, weird imagery as well.
Did you feel like Jayhawk was going to come out?
Yeah, maybe.
Actually, it reminded me of History's Vikings. In the early seasons, they had a lot of, like, when the Vikings raided churches in England, they really kind of did not respect the church imagery or the people who worked there.
We're not at the Vikings yet.
Right?
Correct.
Xena did it first.
I meant on this show.
So we hear a war cry, and then we see a Xena.
We see a Xena. She's framed by the pretty stained glass. Always nice.
Yeah, and she beats all these goons up. Beats them right up.
Something new and different.
Yeah, actually after saying like, oh, this isn't fun violence, like isn't there a bit here where she like has the foot and just like punches the guy with the foot back and forth across the face?
Oh no, this episode.
I'm excited to hear Vera talk about the end of this
Don't.
episode. I'm so excited. I was thinking about you.
I was like,
watching
how
it,
can I was betrayed.
What a way to choose things. Anyway.
Choices!
Thanks, Andrew Merrifield. Okay, so all the goons escape after being beat up by Xena. There's just too much for them, so they just run away.
Of course she's too much.
And then we have this dramatic slow-mo of Gabrielle and Joxer entering.
What? Why was this a choice? It was so weird. This actually did remind me of The Deliverer, because I was like, you know, have they walked into a trap? Are like the scary people in hoods gonna come out? Like it was just it was so ominous.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Andrew was practicing how to do slow-mo.
I think he was like, Rick, I want you to be proud of me, Rick. Do you love me, Rick?
So then we have this like one young priest. He's kind of sitting there and he's stammering and he's in shock. And then I really liked the reveal of this, which was that he was stabbed.
Right.
I also noticed with his floppy hair and sensitive attitude that he was definitely a boyfriend of the week of old.
With the style day.
Yeah.
But here he just says, like, they've taken the novitiates and dies.
Yeah. The important part here is that Joxer grabs the knife, which has little claws on it as well.
Matches their little comb tattoo.
Yes, you can brush your hair
They're
with it
obsessed with combs.
and kill someone with it.
I really thought it was upsetting when they used the combs to like rake the dude's eye.
That was
Yes.
gross. Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. Yeah, violent.
Yeah.
Ooh, and
like,
you know, lots
viscerally
of blood.
violent.
Like blood.
This show's going places.
So this kid's dead, and they hear screaming outside. There's a novitiate. She's the one who screamed, and we see someone who we assume is Creighton, and he's beating up someone who is female-shaped. But we can't see. We can't see the face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a shiny scarf over the face.
Yeah. Right. Like strategically placed scarf, and he's beating the shit out of her.
So this is where Xena gets out her whip. There's a lot of whip action in this fight, including a whole whip wraps around a tree branch, and then Xena spins from the tree, and the goons helpfully line up in a circle. And she just kicks them and kicks them and kicks them.
This is also where Gabs unveils her blindness powder.
Is it actually, is that what it does?
Her decoy,
Does it cause blindness?
It
stuns
powder.
them. They can't see with powder in their eyes.
That's true. It causes temporary blindness.
You're the one that called it that on our Patreon.
Oh, wow, that's right. That was a long time ago.
I know.
Well, Chris Manheim said that they, tried this out, based it off of a Amazon. People use that, I guess. They tried to do something
like
here.
it? I just said Xena likes it.
I do not like it.
I just realized how far we are with the show, guys, that we've reached the $5 level on our Patreon. We're up to the Pixies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Shout
I
out
get
to
it.
our
Yeah.
Pixie patrons.
Woohoo!
This one's for you.
So yeah, Gabrielle like blows the powder in this guy's face, and he's like, "My eyes!"
I don't know why that was funny.
It is funny though. Her with that blindness powder is
Because
funny.
she just like apparates in front of them
And goes,
yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. And they just stand there because it's like
Yeah,
she
go,
did it to
"Ooh."
one, he's screaming my eyes, and then the other one's just standing there waiting for it to happen to him.
I mean, I know it's kind of funny, but at the same time, I like that it's kind of ingenious. And, you know, she wants to be there, but also can't do anything. So it's an idea.
Yeah, I mean, if she's okay with sort of like setting them up for Xena
She's
to
okay
knock
with kind
down.
of hurting people, but not doing a murder.
You feel like she could run around being like, here's Xena, here's a weapon. Oh, here I'm gonna tie her whip a little tighter to the tree. She could just be like kind of like the stagehand for Xena's fights.
Yeah, well, I mean, now we're laughing, but at the end, like, this is where you kind of get the big, we're not there yet. Let's wait.
All right. All right, so back to what Xena is doing there. Now she's fighting Crichton, who is the big warlord in this episode. Like, he's the leader of these goons. He really loves combs. It's all about him. Gabrielle and Joxer, meanwhile, check on the woman he was beating up, and, oh my god, surprise.
They remove the scarf.
It's Najara.
Cool.
Hi, Najara.
Joxer is like leaning down, he's still holding the knife, and oh my god, Xena kicks Crichton and he stumbles towards Joxer. You're like, oh my god, Joxer's totally gonna get murdered right now because he's Joxer.
Yes, that is
but
what
no, it is opposite day. He murders Crichton.
crazy.
Yeah, puts that knife right in his chest.
I really like Ted in this episode. He looks genuinely freaked out and shocked by doing this bad murder or good murder. I don't know.
That's the question of the entire show.
That's deep, yo. Well, I read that Ted Raimi basically asked for this, not this plot line specifically, but he wanted more nuance for Joxer.
Nice.
He wanted them to actually, you know, give him some kind of character development
I think that's fair.
after years. And I think he really rises to the occasion here. This is quite a moment.
I love Ted.
I also love the way this is shot. How you see like the point of view shot, like on Joxer looking stunned, and on Crichton you see the shot of the blade in the chest with blood squirting
well,
out.
I mean, he takes the blade, but they kept showing shots of Crichton dead with his eyes open, and the blood. Every time you saw it, there was like a little splurt of blood. I thought it was really gruesome. You have these shots of him repeatedly shown, and then later when they bring his body back to town, like, you know, the guys check to see if it's really Crichton, and there he is again with his eyes open, super dead.
Yeah,
And
which
it's-
is not something
yeah.
you ever see on the
Yeah.
show. Like, it doesn't usually pay all that much attention to bodies. You know, they seem to almost just disappear
Yeah.
when Xena kills them. So I thought even the fact that they end up taking this body to the village was something, you don't ever get that discussion. What should we do with the body?
Right.
So
Yeah, they
that
had a
was-
lot of discussions here about what to do with people and making plans.
Yeah, it's a very different style of storytelling here.
Yeah.
You feel like, yeah, everything is a bit harder in this episode for them.
Yeah.
You see the effort. But I also just love the way this was shot to look almost exactly like when Gabs stabs dude in Remember Nothing. Like that same kind of choreography. You know, the guy kind of falls into her, and you get the two close-ups, like him and her, and then you see, oh, the dagger's in there. So
That's so interesting.
very similar. And of course, that was then echoed in Deliverer. Like,
Yeah, because I was
yeah.
like, that's the main one you're supposed to be thinking
Yeah.
about, but you're right.
But this one was so specifically, the fact that you had those point of view shots, that was not in The Deliverer. That
Right.
was Remember Nothing.
Yeah. Their plan now is to set up camp outside of town, and Gabrielle's going to, like, tend to Najara for a bit. Xena's going to bring the body of Crichton to town, and then get some medicine for Najara, because they have to, like, heal her up a little bit, and then they're going to take her to prison, basically, because what the fuck is she doing out of it?
She escaped.
She's a bad girl.
I like how Xena, like, pops her ribs back in. I don't know what that medical treatment
I
was.
thought you were
Yeah.
just checking.
Yeah, because they thought her ribs were
So
broken.
she just kind of gave him a good squeeze.
It seems like she broke them. Like I started to be like, well, they are now.
Oh.
Like it was weird. It was like a weird crunchy noise.
I mean, it was very clear that she was enjoying causing Najara pain.
I think maybe. Well, what if it was like a rib? I don't know. Pinch,
Like a cracked
like a helpful when she does the helpful one.
Maybe. This didn't seem to be stopping pain from happening, though.
No, I don't know.
And also, there's this detail that she has a mild concussion, which I immediately thought was going to have plot complications.
Right, but no.
It was said in such a way that it felt important.
Did it make the
It's
gin
so
come
fun
back?
that they know about concussions.
I know it is.
Wait, did her concussion make her
The
the
gin.
gin come back? Like how when Xena had a mild concussion, she had a flashback.
Flashbacks. Maybe. That's, I guess, what I was thinking. Yeah, that it was somehow going to, like, interact with the gin. But no, never mentioned again.
So when they're in town to bring Crichton back, these town sort of like elder gentlemen are like, "Oh my God, is that the man who killed Crichton?" And Joxer, who's very super upset about this whole thing and just totally admits to it. And they're like, "Great, we're gonna buy you a drink because he was the worst." And there's a really great spinning camera shot of him getting drunk in a bar.
Yeah,
I
I
really
like
liked
that too.
it.
There's already in this episode been some great blocking with the camera and Joxer.
Yeah.
This shot earlier when they're looking at the body and Joxer is very close to camera and Xena's kind of standing behind him and looking at him, and you just have this sense of the, like, you're closer emotionally to Joxer. You get Joxer in
Yeah.
this moment, which is a rare thing on the show where you're like, I feel sorry for you,
I
Joxer.
know, yeah.
Like, you more than Xena, I'm emotionally connected to.
So in the bar, the guys are all going around telling stories of like how much the worst Crichton is, how his gang is totally going to take revenge on Joxer, and how, if the gang doesn't get him, then, well, his son totally will, because Crichton had a wife who died in childbirth, and then he had a kid that he shipped off to college, basically, and that kid's totally going to get revenge on him.
And I love that this is clearly Joxer's been in this, like, booze and shock-fueled stupor, but this new information about the son, you see him react to it. It, like, cracks right through the facade, and he's just like, whoa, wait, this is a person I killed. This isn't just, like, a goon. This guy
Right.
had a history. This guy had a family.
Yeah, and so Joxer now gets like super hung up on this and gets the idea that he's gonna go find this kid and tell him that he killed his dad.
And I love Xena's whole reaction to this, which is she doesn't tell him that's a bad idea, exactly.
She says it's a noble idea.
Yeah, she
which
says
is
it's a noble idea.
legit.
But obviously, she knows that it's unlikely to have great
Yeah.
consequences springing from it. She says that the chances of Crichton's son understanding are slim to none. And she wants to come along as backup.
Right. Yeah, and I love Joxer's reaction when he's like, "You're always in everybody's business."
This is one of my favorite moments in the episode. I thought it was so unexpected.
Yeah.
His just pissiness, which you've just never seen from him. He never seems aware of, like, how the others treat him.
Right.
And suddenly this breaks through for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's true, Xena always is up in everybody's business. She thinks she knows best because she does.
Yeah.
But
it was her show.
Yeah. It was interesting to have her called out on it, and I thought her, like, she gets very still there. Her face gets very just kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, you can really feel her shock. It's a cool moment for Lucy.
So he wants to do it himself, and then Xena sort of like reluctantly agrees to let him do his stuff.
Meanwhile, Najara.
Oh boy.
Choking.
Yeah, I love when she's like, she's choking on some water.
Some water.
She's under all these furs and looks
She spends
very
like
cozy.
the first 15 minutes, just like bundled up.
So Najara is explaining to them that she's a pacifist now. She has put down the sword.
Just like someone we know.
Yeah, very intriguing. Now she has the same haircut, and
Oh
now
my
she's
God.
Najara did it first.
Yeah.
and she's even wearing kind of like a sparkly scarf.
Oh my God. What is her outfit?
It's
I
really weird.
don't like it at all.
I think it was more samurai, but I'm not sure.
Did she steal it from the laundry? Or like, what is
Maybe.
it? Like,
It
she
look
swam
like
off.
prison clothes.
it's true that she said she like hangs out with, like, she hung out with people, like, mending clothes. Maybe she stole some random's outfit.
Well, anyway, I just like how mad Xena gets immediately at Gabrielle for, like, believing Najara put down the sword, and just, like, angry voice gives her, like, all these instructions.
This is
And
when
it's good.
she's in the fur, right?
Yeah, Najara's in the fur.
There's a really great moment if you just look at Najara and not on Xena or Gabrielle. She, like, cozies up.
Cuddles,
Like,
yeah.
that was great.
Especially because Xena's getting mad. So
Yeah,
she's
so
like,
she, like-
protect me.
Yeah, like to Gabs. It was a really great touch
She
there.
knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it continues on later in the eve, where with Gabrielle doing more, like, campfire field medicine. She's constantly doing
so much
field
hurt
medicine,
comfort.
tending to
Yeah.
Najara.
Yeah, they're hurt comforting all over the place, Gaz and Najara is working it. She's you know she's just like, could you apply that compress again?
Right. Well, she previously like choked on some water just so
Right.
she could cuddle up.
I know,
next
she's like
to
probably
Gabs.
fake choking.
Yeah, you know
Oh
it.
my
Who
goodness.
chokes on water?
No one.
So yes, and Najara at night in the campfire is like trying to get Gabrielle to ask her why she stopped fighting, and Gab's like, "Well, I just assumed it was your voices telling you," and then Najara proceeds to explain that the Jinn stopped talking to her after the episode Crusader,
Because they were mad. They were like, you did a bad, Najara.
and now they're back as soon as she stopped fighting. So that's interesting.
That is interesting. Especially if you don't believe the Jinn is real. Like, if you believe it's just a manifestation of her mental illness, does that mean she had some kind of meltdown?
I don't know, yeah. So, I mean, the main thing, though, like, why she stopped fighting is that one day their prison had a Eli-shaped speaker come,
Eli shaped.
Eli shaped.
and he talked to them about the way of peace, a way to break what he called the cycle of violence, and they say that in unison. That was pretty great.
Yeah, that was great. And I love that Najara seems to already know that Gabs is a follower of Eli. Presumably Eli mentioned that?
Oh my
Or,
God.
or maybe the Jinn told her. Always a
interesting.
good bet. The Jinn were like, you do this, Najara, because guess what? Gabs is also doing this. And Najara's like, sign me up! Okay, Jinn! I'm so there.
So then they start geeking out about the fandom of Eli.
I used to justify my violence by saying it was for good, but Eli taught me that the greater good is to use no violence at all. Najara has learned a lesson. I mean, that was a big deal, as you may recall, in Crusader. That phrase, the greater good, Najara used it a lot, and it did not mean what we're used to it meaning.
So now Gabs asks her, like, if you don't do violence, how the F did you escape from prison? And Najara says that she jumped in the river when they were doing their laundry and just swam forever and then kind of popped out. And
It's like Annie. That's how Annie escaped from the orphanage in the movie. Like, she hides in the laundry and leaves.
Annie?
Annie, the musical Annie.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Oy.
you only know
She hides
Annie,
in the laundry
Annie
when-
Skywalker. That's the only Annie you know.
Little orphan Annie.
Oh shit. It's a hard knock life. So she popped out of the river and has been like...
Wait, is my note correct?
What?
Or can I just not read? She says she's just been going around farming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Planting crops, helping harvest, mending clothes, working towards the day the Jinn said would come. The day you and I would meet again, united in
So
a
there's
common
the answer.
bond. Not even Xena shares.
That
Which
is
is
so
good.
Catherine Morris delivered that last line with a whisper. It's incredible.
It's like it's sacred.
yeah.
This sacred thing that exists only between
them. Yes.
Sexy.
Mmm.
And, I mean, this is so great because as with Crusader, you just feel like this is so juicy. Because it's true. Gabs has turned over this new leaf. She's decided that even though she's different from Xena, she's going to travel with her anyway. And it's clearly a slightly uncomfortable fit. Just look at that ridiculous snuff powder and you'll see, like,
God.
what a weird kind of compromise she's made to do this. And here's Najara saying, you don't have to do that. You don't have to compromise. We have the same hair and the same beliefs. We should be in love.
And she warns Gabrielle that straying from the path could have consequences that are
Devastating
for everyone.
Dun dun dun. Though this is going to be ironic considering later.
Right. So Joxer's still having a really hard time.
I love the opening shot of this scene. It's his reflection in a pool, and a rock gets thrown into it, and you see the reflection break, and you see Joxer has thrown this rock, and he kind of nods at it, like, I get this. It's the metaphor of
Wait,
the
is
pond.
it a rock? I thought he threw the comb dagger.
No, because he has it in a
I know,
bag
that's why
later.
I had a note being like, what the hell? I thought he threw it into like a little
I really
barrel
thought
of water.
it was like an amazing reference back to Dreamworker and the rock in the pond. Like he was doing that for himself. Now we have the final kind of person on the show who hasn't had this experience with violence. He's had it, so he gets to be associated with that imagery too. That's how I interpreted that. I thought that was so cool, and just this little kind of tossed away moment. They didn't make a big deal out of it.
Okay, I'm still confused about what exactly he threw, but I like your version.
Let's go with mine.
I didn't notice. That's cool.
Well, he thinks he's alone, but he is not. He is visited by a ghost of certain Mr. Crichton. He's standing by a tree, and he's taunting poor Joxer.
So what if you made some kid an orphan? I've done it hundreds of times. It's no biggie.
No biggie.
Yeah. Soon you'll be as bad as me. Too badass, butt-kicking, slaughter-happy.
Shut up! Go away, says Joxer.
And then Xena standing by the tree, and it's like, you talking to me? And it is the greatest cut of all time.
Yeah.
In this show, maybe ever.
It's an amazing...
That's hyperbolic, but it's really good.
It's really good.
It's a really great delivery,
It's so
too,
smart.
by Lucy for that.
Because you have, again, the cut that is associating the badass, slaughter-happy speech with Xena.
Yeah. And it's as if she, like, knows that was
Yeah.
happening. That was crazy.
And
Like,
it
the way
sounds
she delivered
so much like that last line of Crichton's dialogue sounds more like Xena than
And, well, she
something
did say
Crichton
that in
would
the
say.
way.
Right.
Basically.
Ass-kicking warrior.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like differently put,
But it's very similar language, yeah. And slaughter happy. She's certainly happy when she does slaughter.
Usually she's just kicking people in the heads as pose.
So does that mean on some level Joxer subconsciously knows that traveling with Xena is bad for him in the same way that Gabrielle wrestled with that feeling?
Well,
Possible.
it's crazy because his entire raison d'etre is to be a warrior, right? His whole family is, well, most of them.
And that hangs over this episode too, you feel. He doesn't mention them specifically, right? I don't think so.
Yeah, it does.
But you feel like that is kind of at the root of a lot of the identity crisis he's having here. He's like, that can't be how this affected them. So, like, why am I different?
Right.
Am I weaker? Yeah.
So Xena is constantly having to give people that travel around with her the first kill is the worst speech.
Yeah.
It'll
poor
get
Xena.
better. The next one will be fine.
Next, she's like, all right, so next for you is going to be that good day speech. Okay, I'll get that one queued up.
I do like that he goes, how do you live with it? And she says, I don't have a choice.
Because this episode, she has a lot of that going on in this episode with these people that are around her because she then has to take it on for everybody.
Right. She wants to give them the choice, and that means she doesn't get one.
Nope.
But she goes, well, going to see his son has to help. So now she's really kind of on board with this.
She is, but I wonder if she's just saying it to encourage him, or if she really believes it.
I think she believes it because, like, she's like, yeah.
Because nothing
that
can hurt at this point.
Yeah, nothing that she can say, like, is doing anything for him, really.
It is interesting, though, because Joxer has this idea that he has to do this. We haven't seen any other character go through this exact crisis.
Yeah.
I mean, in part because the circumstances of their kills were so different. They didn't have anyone to tell, presumably. Like, Xena didn't even know the name of the guy who was her first kill. That was established in Dreamworker. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
interesting.
and Gabs didn't go around being like, let's
Lady.
find Meridian's
Meridian.
family and tell them.
Though
yeah.
it does seem like the kind of thing Gabs would have done.
I actually think it's really unique that this is Joxer's immediate go-to. Like, I think this is very specific to him.
You think it's in part because he himself is the son of a warlord and would have he would see the humanity in that situation.
I mean, I guess so. I really was not thinking about his backstory just because it makes you go, oh, silly Joxer stuff. But because this is such a real episode for him. Like, this is like one of my favorites. I totally forgot that this was part of this episode because I'm like, oh, the convert, that's the Najara one.
I know.
I don't know if
it is a strange marriage to have this Joxer plot in a Najara episode, or rather, the Najara plot in a Joxer
That's
episode.
correct, and I don't think I agree with it.
Why? But isn't it really good to have this kind of violence and doing violence, A plot, B plot?
It is, however, the strength of the first Najara episode was the fact that it was about Xena, Gabrielle, and Najara. And here we have that trio, which has so much rich potential in it itself. And then you have this huge Joxer episode.
And it's true that the two plots, I mean, they connect thematically, but there isn't that much plot structure connecting them. I do like the one moment that we'll eventually get to where Najara fucks with Joxer.
Right.
But, yeah, like, Najara has nothing to do with Joxer for the most part.
Yeah, she's never met him even.
Yeah.
Like, so, unfortunately, I think the show starts doing more of this, where they stick characters that shouldn't be in episodes together and kind of makes things a little bit cluttered. So I would have preferred a solo
episode,
about
2 episodes.
Yeah, 2 different episodes here. Exactly. Yeah. Maybe they could have skipped Takes One to Know One.
It's a pretty good strategy, actually. I saw Jackson Upperco, who runs a great site about Xena, and also Broadway musicals and old movies and all sorts of good things.
All the things on Xena.
He was saying that he likes The Convert and seemed to think Takes One to Know One was amusing, but that he resents kind of all of them because they don't deal enough with Gabs and her pacifism. He was like, there was so much great storytelling potential, like with these precious episodes where she's a pacifist, and like they didn't like get enough mileage out of it. So I thought that was smart. It's true. There are so few episodes.
He could have dealt with it. They could have dealt with it a lot more if we didn't have to deal with like Joxer
or murder mysteries.
Yeah, right. In a way, that's
and
the
this
C
is her
plot.
birthday. What's happening?
But yeah, I mean, Gabs being a pacifist is almost like the C plot of this episode. You get like one scene about it where like she and Xena talk about her new smoke compound, which is what the show calls that thing. So yeah, obviously we would have loved if that had been the B plot of a Najara episode or a Joxer episode or both.
I mean, certainly having Najara and Gabrielle share the fandom of pacifism and Eli. That's so rich. It totally could be an entire thing by itself. So speaking of Najara and Gabs.
Oh my god, some S&M.
Rope play. Let's do this. So
Gabs is like, is it too tight? And Najara's like, no, it's just right, baby.
Oh my god, she literally has hard eyes, like when Gabs is tying her up.
And in fact, she's like, can you still sleep?
I find it off-putting. Like, she's coming on too strong, and I don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
Najara is not someone who does things by half. Like, if she decides she's going to hit that, she hits it with a giant boxing glove.
But she's a pacifist now. I think that it's kind of proof that she's very unsettled. Like, she's not... I mean, you can argue that she wasn't well in the first episode she was in, but she's...
It was less apparent.
Yeah,
but yeah,
exactly.
here you feel like there is just
unstable.
there's a desperation to it.
Yeah.
This is someone who's really trying to fill a void, and you just feel like she's groping blindly. Like, I've decided that your way is right for me, and I'm just going to be like, everything you do, I do, okay? Is this okay? Can you sleep tied up in all those ropes like a baby? And she proceeds to just curl up and sleep.
No, where she touches Gabrielle's cheek with her tied up arms.
That was weird. She
It
really
was
like
weird.
squeezed it.
It was just like squishing her cheeks together. Wow. Well, Xena's just being true to her way is an important line, I think, from there.
And also, but if she thinks I'm going anywhere now that I've found you and our path, she's crazy.
Squishes cheeks.
So then Gabrielle goes to her own bed next to Xena's. And, like, so why did they put their prisoner so far away from them?
It's
don't
very
know.
poor planning. But I'm glad that it gives them a little privacy, a little cuddle privacy.
So, yeah, and this is where Xena makes an effort to be like, your smoke powder is so good.
But also, like, that she's like, I don't like you being in the middle of this if you won't fight.
Yeah.
Which
I think it's a reasonable
is really
feeling.
reasonable. Absolutely. She's gonna get hurt. Like something
Yeah.
like she just can't just keep blowing smoke in people's faces.
Xena also wants Gabs to try talking to Joxer because he's not really listening to Xena herself. Gabs is like, I keep remembering the first time that I killed. I know it's strange, but it still hurts. And Xena goes, stranger if it didn't, which I thought was a really good little exchange.
Good, sad line.
Yeah.
And showing that there's still, like, Gabrielle's still processing, like, the fact that she doesn't understand that hurting over violence is an important part of the process and not something to feel weird about.
This next exchange is like another really great moment of the episode for me, at least.
Absolutely, I agree.
We have Gabrielle. She had a final thought for the night.
The fandom.
Oh,
right?
on the fandom,
She starts talking about
of
the fandom.
Of course, yeah. So she's marveling at the fact that Eli has been teaching Najara the path of nonviolence. And she's like, he's living proof that peace really works. And she's sitting up. The fire kind of lights her. And right next to her is Xena. She's turned away. She's laying down. She's in darkness. And she's looking at us. It's revealed that she is staring at us, even though Gabs is like, are you asleep?
And she doesn't answer, pretending to be
Yeah.
asleep. She doesn't want to have that conversation. She does not want to talk about nonviolence.
I mean, this is so rough to listen to if you're Xena.
Yeah.
Once again, she's afraid of Najara because she senses that Najara, has something in common with Gabrielle that Xena just can't have because she's, kind of been forced
She's not
out.
in the fandom.
Yeah, and she can't be because she has to protect all these pacifists.
Right. Yeah, but and then also the idea that, like, if that is right and if Gabrielle is right, then, like, what is her life?
Right. Yeah.
Also, they're sleeping next to each other. Yay.
They are.
Unlike, I feel like last time we saw them, it was like Gabs and Eli.
Eli on the blanket
Oh,
together.
man, yeah.
There's something just charmingly domestic, even though this is very upsetting. Like, I do like, it might be Andrew Merrifield's choice to have the scene begin so slowly, like with Gabs joining Xena at the campfire, and I think Xena asks her some question, like, about whether she tied the feet as well as the hands, and Gabs is just kind of like going about her business, like I really like the rhythms of the scene. It just had it was slow and it felt intimate, and I feel like this episode has a lot of these cozy moments where they're just it has several campfire scenes,
lots of talking,
and people have their own sort of like routines around them.
You feel like life is just going on in this nice way that you don't often see in a Xena episode. So props to Chris Mannheim, too, for taking this approach.
The next day, our crew is on their way. Joxer and Gabrielle are walking together. Gabs tells him something that's really nice. She says that him going to talk to Crichton's son is the bravest thing he's ever done, which I thought was a legitimate thing for her to say. And
that's how I felt.
Yeah, and I feel like normally that would, like, make him hear little birdie noises and, like, he'd fall over or something like that. But he's, like, he's legit here. And
he doesn't have a single pratfall this episode. He falls down, but it's just
because
like...
this is a real
regular
episode. And all of his episodes should be this way.
As opposed to fake episodes.
Yes.
Even
like the next one.
Callisto, Return of Callisto are
Yes.
big dramatic episodes, but even there, he would be the comic relief. So it's interesting that he's the drama here. Yeah.
And I love it. I'm telling you right now, this is my favorite kind of Joxer. He says that he doesn't feel brave. He just feels bad.
And that's how you know it's real bravery.
Yeah. So our other people who feel bad, Xena and Najara,
I think Najara feels great.
She feels great, but Xena does not feel good here. She's just hating every moment of this whole thing. She really hates Najara. I just love it so much.
Yeah, she's not even, I don't know.
Like hiding it? Like,
Yeah, she's not even
legit.
hiding it. She really she is not willing to entertain the idea that Najara can change. I feel like it's almost to the point where I wonder if there's been a slight shift in the way Xena approaches Najara. I definitely felt like the emphasis on her mental health from the beginning was new. I mean, that was definitely coded into the character in Crusader, but the fact that Xena keeps saying she's nuts, she's same old wacko underneath.
Very sensitive.
Yeah.
Xena.
Yeah.
Oh, so should we put a coin in for Xena?
Well, she certainly uses a lot of slurs against mental illness.
Right.
And of course, the episode does seem to be saying, like, Najara can't be trusted because of her mental illness, which isn't a great message either.
The clear undercurrent here is just Xena does not like that Najara and Gabs are in the same fandom.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is a much more interesting reason for
she
Xena
can't
not
say
to
that.
trust Najara. I guess so.
She
Those
can't
are
say that.
All she can be like is she's a wacko. 'Cause
Yeah,
she feels like
exactly.
she can't actually.
She can't,
it's
like,
too
mute them
painful.
on Twitter because she
Exactly.
doesn't like the fandom.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, she has to keep listening
Yup.
and reading all the tweets.
Yeah, that can get really taxing.
And Najara is such a clever manipulator. She knows that this is what Xena's actually feeling and loves to rub it in.
Yeah, so they have some interesting conversation. Najara's riding on Argo. She's tied up, and Xena's walking the horse. There's some really great camera work here, too.
Oh, yeah. I think I know which shot you're referring to. We'll get there. So, yeah, here's the dialogue for this exchange. She says, "You claim to have changed. Why can't I? After all, we both had the same inspiration. Gabrielle."
Ugh. Xena.
I love that. Ugh. It's just it.
It is the best reaction to that ever.
That's all she has to say. It's so good. This is another sick burn from Najara, but unlike you, I've changed my whole life for her. You just changed sides. Oof.
Yeah.
So this is when you get the cool shot, or at least what I thought was the cool shot. You might mean something different.
No, it's this, because it's normal when we're watching, the sort of medium to wide shot of them on the horse walking. But as soon as she says that, you just change sides. Xena gets so mad. She whips around,
Ooh.
and we have Najara POV from atop the horse, handheld. It's awesome. And we see Xena just, like, shaking with anger, saying, "You hurt Gabrielle, and I will change you in ways that are anything but peaceful."
She's really scary here.
Yeah.
The line is a little silly, but, like,
No, it's great.
the feelings behind it are so intense and just so immediate. Like, she just goes from, like, a 10 to 100, and you're like, oh, God.
Yeah. It's like she slipped a little, with
Yeah.
her self-control there.
Yeah.
And Najara retorts, "You forget hurting Gabrielle is your job.
I don't like that being repeated.
Or have those visions gone away?"
I think she should just jumped right into that.
Yeah.
She didn't need to
We don't-
repeat the good burn from the first one.
We don't need it. We don't need it, yeah. I feel like it's her being like, these are my greatest hits.
Remember this thick burn?
Yeah, exactly.
Burn again.
She goes, "I want to share a life of peace with Gabrielle. You want to share a violent death.
That's a good.
You tell me who's the villain here, me or you."
See, she had
Burns,
more,
burns, burns!
more burns, like in the pocket, like ready to go. Like she didn't need.
Maybe it was a fake out. She's like, you think I just have the same old burns? Well, how's this for a burn? It has this for a burn. Oh!
I mean,
Xena's
so that's
face
scary,
is so
I
good
guess.
here. Yeah. She can't answer to
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
Even though the answer is, you're the villain. You clearly being a villain with your burns of me.
So then they arrive at the school. This is another really great camera blocking moment where we have our guys kind of waiting for Crichton's son to arrive in the room. So we have this like pan across. We have Najara just sitting there. We have Gabrielle whispering to Xena, "Oh, well, okay, I know you said that you're not going to do any backup for Joxer, but like, what about the fact that this kid's totally going to turn violent? And this is like in a whisper, and then you have the camera pan to Joxer, and he's kind of staring, and he's playing the abacus.
Yeah,
like,
that was a funny detail.
Yeah, like as if he was like in a folk band.
I was a little annoyed with Xena and Gab so blatantly whispering next to Joxer, like totally undermining his confidence. Like,
he wasn't listening, it's funny.
I mean, I know he's in his own little headspace, but I would have at least, like, gone into the next room, Xena and Gab.
Yeah. So now we have introduction to Crichton's son, Armand. He is very smiley and happy to meet them.
Yeah. He's a sweet little guy. I like the casting here. The actor just you immediately feel protective of him, which I think was absolutely the right thing to convey here.
Yeah, and just, you know, this whole idea is very fascinating, where we see...
When have we ever seen like the waiting room at a boarding school? Like, this is just a very new place.
Yeah, and just the concept itself of, like, this is a warlord, and this is his son who is in school, who doesn't know about his father's true way of being.
No.
Now, here's a question for you. Do you actually think this retroactively makes Crichton into maybe not 100% monstrous, that he sent his son to this nice school where he's protected?
I thought that it was like getting rid of him. That was the story.
But
you don't think?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, we hear about the nurse who tells him these nice
Are
stories.
you telling me that he's like has many layers, like the Great Bariah?
Right,
the
that
way
you
he
can love
talks
your
about
kids.
him reminded me of Solon, actually, and what he
Yes.
said about Bryce. Then you meet Bryce and you're like, what the fuck?
That's not that guy. The Great Pariah? But yeah, you're right. There is something to that. I mean, the episode never makes that connection. When you see Crichton, he seems awful.
I read too much into like tiny eyeball movements that people make that
I mean,
like
that's
don't have
why
anything to do
we're
with
here.
anything. Yeah.
That's why we're here, is to do that. Joxer probably was just
Xena.
throwing some shit in a pond in that scene that I claimed was a thing.
I'm sure. I'm sure it was great.
But yeah, I actually thought the fact that this son is not a part of the cycle of violence, that he's been spared that life, it made me wonder what his dad's deal was. Yeah, it's possible he was just sending him away to get rid of him. That's like the kind of ungenerous explanation. But, you know, we've seen father-son warlords. That was
the second episode,
Chariots of War,
right?
And there,
but that was
really
a business.
Join the family business.
So, but here, what if? I mean, this is crazy because we're like making this be like the big Crichton, you know, redemption arc. But like, what if Crichton
sucks?
What if he knows he sucks? What if he's like Xena when she gave away Solon and didn't want him to end up like, you know, him?
But he just continued to suck.
Well, he gave in to his, you know, warrior ways.
Yeah. I think you can definitely read it that way, that Crichton is in his way responsible for Armand turning out so well.
I don't know. He didn't raise him.
He definitely pays for the school.
This is a little bit in the weeds.
He pays for the school.
Yeah.
No weeds.
I think he sucks.
Justice for Crichton.
He sucks,
Not
you guys.
all warlords.
He sucks. He's a baddie.
I hope you guys have noticed that Najara also been dragged to the waiting room of the boarding school. Yeah. And she's bound with Gab's scarf, her saffron-colored India scarf.
I did not notice
tied
that.
around her wrist. And you know, Najara was like, "Can I have that as my bondage, please?"
Yes,
sniff.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. So, yeah, everyone's like, what? When they hear Armand kind of talk about Crichton being like this great hero fighting for justice and getting rid of the evil in the world. Crichton, warrior princess.
The courageous. Yeah, Crichton, warrior princess. Legit.
Yeah. And he says that this old nurse told him when he was a baby about his super awesome dad.
Yeah, and the detail is, I guess, because she felt sorry for me because I never got to go home, which is a sweet sad detail.
Yeah.
It tells you a lot about what this kid's life has been like and why he needs this illusion of the great dad.
Yeah, and so this is so not what they were all expecting, especially Joxer. He tries to say words, but just
he's
stammers.
speechless.
Yeah.
This is just like the worst possible thing he could have been confronted with.
Right, so Xena steps in and tells Armand that Crichton's been killed in a fight. And then...
It's like, come travel with us. Wee!
Yeah, basically. I mean, well, because he was, of course, immediately he's like, I'm going to go kill...
Justice, vengeance!
Yeah, immediately I'm going to totally kill...
The scum who killed my father, the great hero. And I like that Najara is the one who talks him down. That was fun. Xena decides he should probably travel with them to keep an eye on him. And I assume because Xena wants to give Joxer an opportunity to be honest.
So our awkward gang gets even more awkward. And Gabrielle is trying to convince Joxer to tell Armand who Crichton really was. He doesn't want to break Armand's heart. Every boy needs a hero. And then Xena steps in and says, then be one, which was great.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, but he has a point. He's like, I already killed Crichton once. If you guys want to do it again, that's fine with me. And he walks off.
It's a very upsetting moral dilemma. Because, of course, Armand should know who his dad really was. But you get why that is just a really painful thing for Joxer to have to contemplate doing.
Yeah.
And again, this to me felt tied back to Joxer's past. The fact that he says every boy needs a hero made me wonder who little Joxer's hero was growing up.
His warlord dad.
I guess so, because he keeps trying to be him.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Whatever his dad's name is, the Mighty, as opposed to Crichton the Courageous. Yeah.
All right, so bath time.
Oh my god.
But not for Xena and Gabrielle.
I literally had to pause this to laugh for like maybe a good minute, because I was just like, get it, Najara! Oh my god, you got bath time! You are
She didn't,
a genius.
though.
Yeah. She got as close as she could get to it.
Like Gabrielle's feet in the water.
But they're like around her back, you know. It's intimate. So Gabrielle is cleaning her big wound on her back there, and Najara is working overtime to sweet talk Gabs.
Oh, man. Yeah, she kind of does the thing where it's like, I need compliments, so I'm going to be really hard on myself. So Gabs can be like, no, but you're better now. Don't beat yourself up. And then Najara skillfully negotiates the conversation until it's about the hospice from Crusader.
Right.
And she's clearly like, I need an assistant at the hospice.
She was like, so sexy. Come help me at the hospital.
She's doing the greatest hits, Remember when we were like so awesome together in Flower Grounds?
I remember the swans. Do you have any swans here? Let's go looking for them, Gabrielle. I like that Gabs, who Xena's already been pretty hard on for like believing things Najara says, doesn't go along with the hospice idea. It's just like, yeah, that's a great idea for you. She says, my place is with Xena. And Najara says, very carefully hiding her total rage, I know. And it always will be. Until her continuing violence finally makes her do something even you can't excuse. Another burn in absentia. But Xena can still feel it. She's like, why am I burning?
No.
Gab says it's not going to happen. And Najara says it has to. And then you will have to choose. Not between me and Xena, but between Xena and your own soul.
Ouch, says Xena. What's going on? My skin!
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, that's sad. Oh, I must have had some interesting thought at one point in time about the symbolism of this bathing and Gabrielle only having her feet in it. But I don't know what it is
anymore. I kind of get that.
I think that I was reaching.
Najara's in the deep end, but Gab's only
has a toe in. Yeah.
There's no baptism.
I think that's what it might have been, like as a dream of thought. But I don't know that it exists per se.
Because Gabs only dips her toes in.
I don't
To
know.
the baptism
I think it's not really there. Carry on.
I liked what Najara was saying here. It sounded really ominous. I feel like the show never serves it up, actually. You never see this version of events in which...
Xena or your soul? In
which Xena's violence does something that Gabrielle can't excuse. That warning of Najara's actually doesn't manifest. I thought that was an intriguing... She actually doesn't get that one right. It seems like a sick burn, but unlike some of Najara's other predictions, this one is not so correct.
I guess if you change the line slightly, it could be about the finale.
Sort of.
Well, I mean, I think that, like, if you just want to say something like that or change up the words, like, I think that Xena often does things that maybe Gabrielle doesn't agree with.
Yeah.
And, like, that would encompass, like, a wider swath of things.
But Xena never goes so far that, that it breaks trust with Gabrielle. So I think it shows that Najara doesn't quite understand either the amount of forgiveness inside Gabrielle or Xena herself. No surprise that she doesn't fully understand Xena.
She met her twice.
Oh my god, Najara has, like, been Gabrielle's friend person for, like, 3 days, maybe.
It's actually amazing how well she does with manipulating them, considering how little she knows.
Yeah.
But
she has a gift.
Yeah, she definitely has a gift. And whether that gift actually is voices telling her things she couldn't otherwise know, or just a perception so acute that she can discern stuff about people.
So back to the camp, Joxer. This is where he finds, like, the comb knife.
Yeah, just in his bag.
Right, which is where I was like, I thought he previously threw it out into the barrel, which you claim was a rock or some shit.
Or maybe some shit, yeah.
And so anyway, he's like, it's here still, and he, like, hides it.
And he also has, like, the leather, like, breastplate that...
Oh, really?
Yeah, you see that, too. I was like, why does he have all this stuff still? Did he strip the body? When would that have happened?
Well, Armand comes in, and he's, like, super excited, because they're going to have rabbit stew for dinner. They caught a rabbit.
I had a typo in my notes, and it said Armand excited because he caught a rabbi for dinner.
Oh, no.
I was like, Armand!
Oh, hey,
Oh, no. The coin.
One for yourself, but it's okay.
This punk goon shows up, right?
This guy reminded me of the original punk goon, whose name I don't remember, but Jeremy Callahan played him.
Oh, gosh, yeah. No, this guy was way worse. He invites himself for dinner, and he's like, killing someone always makes me hungry. Joxer tries to, like, shoo him away, because the goon...
I really love Joxer in this moment, trying to diffuse the situation without violence.
Yeah.
Well, and also, like, trying to get him away
From
before the goon
He's gonna give it
is
away.
going to give it up.
Yeah,
He's going to give it
but
away.
But it felt like it was about that while also being just about, like, what Joxer had just gone through. He doesn't want to use violence. He's trying to just talk to this guy, this goon, young goon, like he's a person. Like, look, it's a mistake. He's trying to reason with him in a way, again, that isn't... You can totally see this scene in a comedy episode, like, but here it's played so seriously, and Ted does a great job of modulating it.
Well, he does not do well enough job as Joxer, that is. Not Ted. Ted is great. And they start fighting.
And Joxer punches him.
Yeah.
When have we ever seen Joxer land a punch?
I know, right? I mean, yeah, he's at the end of his rope here.
Yeah. So that, again, that's how you know this really is a different sort of episode for Joxer.
For sure. And then Armand immediately goes to defend Joxer, help him out. He, like, tackles the goon, and he totally gets knocked down by the goon.
But he gets up again. You're never going to keep him down.
That's Eli. And then Xena shows up and, like, totally takes out this goon in, like, one blow. So it's nighttime, and we have the scene of Xena brushing Argo.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, it was really nice.
It was really nice. It almost disturbed me because it seemed so unconnected to anything.
Yeah.
But I was like, is this horse retiring? It just felt like a moment of just, like, letting this horse be on screen. And then she sends Argo away, and there's this shot of Argo kind of trotting off that lasts, like, a couple beats longer than you would expect.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe, Tilly was going into retirement or something. It just felt like a goodbye.
I have no idea.
She looks really beautiful in the moonlight. Art Tilly.
And then there's like the supper's ready. Okay, exchange. I don't know. It's just fun.
It's cute. Yeah, it's domestic.
It's also when she made the like really bad salad.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever. Like just like a really.
Is it the stew? Is it the rabbit stew?
Looked like a salad. Looks like she made a bad salad, and they all were all reacting to it like Leslie Knope eating a salad. Like, just hatred.
I thought it was really uncalled for to be that harsh about her.
I know.
Cooking.
Well, I think that Gabrielle's like feelings about the situation have like manifested. So like all her feelings went to the cooking and made it be bad. You know what I mean?
No.
But she did it. Like Joxer's like, I hate this, and Gabs turns it into a line about her cooking.
Yeah, but like right next to her, Xena visibly is like smelling it, being like, "Bleh."
But she's not saying anything bad about it.
You said it.
Sweetly eating it without saying anything bad. That's how much she loves her. So there's this other campfire scene between Xena and Gabs where they're once again debating Najara.
And whether to bring her to prison, right?
Right. Yeah, this was interesting.
This is a big deal.
Yeah.
Let's focus on this scene because Gabrielle argues that maybe they don't have to bring her back to prison if she's seems reformed already.
Yeah, she goes, I know there's no excuse for what she did. And Xena, of course, goes, sure there is. She's a nut.
Right.
Xena.
That's
so rude.
Not cool. Not cool, Xena. I'm going to throw another coin in for you, babe.
But I mean, yeah, like, should she go back to prison?
Well, it's what is prison for? Is prison there to rehabilitate or is prison to punish? Like Gab seems to say it's for rehabilitation. So if you're rehabilitated, you don't need to go back. And Xena's like, no, she should be punished for burning me all those times. Send her back. Send her back. And then there's this, I think, pretty brutal line from Gabs, actually, where she says, isn't it better to have peaceful people around who do good rather than people who fight?
That is the rudest thing that she has maybe ever said. And this is the only time maybe episode in this arc where I was like, Gabrielle, I love this character arc for you, but oh my God, shh.
Yeah.
Rude.
Because Xena goes, like me.
I mean, yeah. Gosh,
that
this
was
is
a burn.
rough stuff. This is really difficult because we're dealing with a show where the hero has to fight all the time. And you have people coming up to her being like, fighting sucks and is bad. Stop doing it.
But then also depending on her to do it. And in fact, Gabs immediately backtracks when Xena says that, like me. She says, oh, well, that's your way. You're being true to your way. That's okay. But you are like, well, why, you have a shitty way. Just so you know, it's a shitty way and
but
you
it's
should
yours.
feel bad.
Embrace it.
It's yours.
That's just such a specific personality. Like, people totally do that. And they say stuff that's, like, terrible like that to people. And they just they're not aware of it.
Yeah, because for Gabs, that's about her. Like, she's not thinking about how that idea would affect Xena. Yeah. I don't think she's trying to hurt Xena's feelings at all. I think that's part of what is so hurtful about it, is she's just not thinking.
Right.
Anyway, Najara should go back to prison for being a big giant murderer.
Yeah.
Skilled at burns.
Yeah. And the burns, like, you can add a year onto her, like, 50 life sentences that she has for being a murderer. I guess there's, like, also, like, there's a complicated layer to the idea of, like, murder and punishment in this. There is a lot of, like, war and situations and stuff like that, but she was just kind of going around killing whoever didn't agree with her, which is a go to jail forever situation.
Yeah, that's the problem. And you saw those close-ups of these young teenagers who were in these warlord armies who she was doing that to. So
Right, yeah, because Xena, I mean, she says what we know, which is that Najara's a fanatic and not to trust her because she just follows what the voices tell her.
This was slightly different from what we saw in Crusader. I mean, yes, she follows what the voices tell her, but Xena makes it sound like the voices tell her things that aren't consistent. Whereas from what we've seen in Crusader, she had a very comprehensive worldview. Like, this is how, like, she's a fanatic because she believes something and, like, hard and fast. Like, even when presented with evidence that maybe it's not the right way of behaving, she's like, no, this is the way. I believe in the light, and these guys, like, I know when people are guilty, End of story. So I don't know. This is when this episode begins to annoy me slightly because I feel like it's changing the rules a little bit about Najara. Like this idea of Najara as being, someone who changes her mind.
You're talking about it like Livy talking about the episode. This is Xena who like hates Najara.
I know,
and is like,
but
she just listens to voices.
But
get
saying
over
facts
it.
that are not true.
But then also the episode like makes Najara have like a demon voice, like at one point when the Jinn are talking. Yeah, and it's like super like not part of it.
Yeah, I mean we'll get there. I'm already. I feel like the episode has this great idea with Najara, that once again Najara is making really important points, and Najara, I mean, she doesn't quite seem like she's right about everything, but you feel like she is the sort of antagonist that it's hard to argue with, because she's good at saying things and believes the things she's saying. So I feel like Xena being like, oh, by the way, this fanatic doesn't actually believe the things she says, you're like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
So Xena proposes that Gabrielle test Najara to tell her no to something, and then seeing her reaction, which I don't think happens at all in this episode, right?
It sort of does, but it's in the heat of the moment, so it doesn't quite feel like the test that Xena makes it out to be.
But they yell about it, and that was
sad.
It was sad.
You have a sad face for the yelling.
I didn't like
it's funny because Xena's like, I forget exactly the line, but Najara will just explode at you. Xena says,
exploding at Gabrielle.
Yeah. I was like, Xena, try. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror, Xena. Who are you warning Gabs about?
All right, so it's bedtime, and Armand is making his bed. He puts down this blanket that has a triangle with a claw design.
Is that what that was? I thought it was the bloody breastplate of Crichton, and I was like, why is that there?
No. So wait, so that means that all right, I think now I understand what's happening.
Okay.
Was he messing with Armand's stuff before, when Armand was
with the clawed knife?
Yeah, when Joxer found the clawed knife fell out and there was a red thing around. That was Armand's stuff. So he did throw the one that he used to kill Crichton into that barrel.
But I'm going to go that it's still the dream worker imagery.
Sure.
Because a knife in place of the stone, that's even more literal. That's here's the violence. Yeah. Okay, cool.
We solved it.
We get to keep it.
Yeah. So anyway, Joxer comes in and he's triggered by that image, and he just remembers murdering Crichton right then and there.
And can't tell him once again.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Najara is stealthily untying herself.
Oh my god.
Gab's bad at knots.
So bad at knots. And oh my god, Najara, you're supposed to be curled up like a baby. That's what you said you would do. I feel betrayed.
Again, because why do they put her so far away from themselves?
It's
she should be sleeping right next to Xena.
Yeah, if anything, it seems like she's sleeping a lot nearer to Armand.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem very nice.
I don't know. I honestly think Xena's I don't want to look at her.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. So she spills the beans to Armand, which I thought was so cool and great that you have this moment for Najara where she gets to be a part of the Joxer plot. And it's really just stirring the shit. Mm-hmm. And I think that's it's almost Callisto-ish, but you feel like Najara isn't just doing it to stir shit. She really believes that he should know.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least I prefer to see Najara that way. This episode is increasingly being no, she's just a crazy shit stirrer. Don't trust her.
No, because that goes with her character trait of she believes that he should know the truth and tells him nobody else will, so she's doing it.
And remember when she used to threaten that she was going to tell Gabs about the vision all the time? Because being truthful is a big thing for her. Mm-hmm. And yeah. So meanwhile, Joxer is having a real crisis. I thought these lines were very moving. It's a lie my whole life. I'm not a warrior. What kind of warrior kills somebody and has nightmares about it every night? This was great because I came out of this episode being wow, Joxer's never going to fight again. This is a huge development for Joxer. And then it takes one to know one. He's immediately doing stupid fight scenes.
Right.
I mean, of course not fighting well, but still fighting. So That didn't last.
No, of course not. He goes, I killed someone, so you know what that makes me? And then you just hear Armand go, I do. It makes you the first man that I'm going to kill.
The cycle of violence everywhere. Violence.
Boy.
Break the wheel.
Yeah, so he steps out with the dagger, and he's going to totally kill Joxer. I really like the shot of Najara behind him. Mm-hmm. She's, like, out of focus. She's clearly the little evil angel on his shoulder there. Mm-hmm. And that was really cool. Armand is so angry. He can't believe that Joxer killed his father. He calls him a moron.
That really hurt. I was sad because, you know, he seemed to really like and respect Joxer. And here he just turns around and calls him a moron. And yeah, like, how could a moron kill my dad? And you're like, oh, I thought you actually, like, saw the best in Joxer, and now you're saying kind of the worst.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, very, like, schoolyard bully fighting kind of language. And I really like Ted's read on the next line where he goes, even morons get lucky sometimes. Like, he just did such a good job with that. So anyway, he attacks, of course, and Xena has to block him, and
she's the only person, by the way, in the scene who can fight. Everyone else is literally not gonna fight.
And then, Gab steps in, and
that's true. Tries to talk him down.
She sort of does. I mean, she says that letting Joxer live is vengeance, the vengeance that he's seeking, because him living with what he's done is a fate worse than death.
Crichton the Courageous, isn't that what you called your father? Be brave, Armand. Let Joxer live. I thought that was nice. That mercy as an act of bravery. That's very Gabs.
Yeah. So Armand drops the dagger and walks away, and then Joxer steps up to Najara, and he's like, what the fuck? Why did you tell him?
We haven't even had a line, and you're trying to get me killed?
You don't even know me.
Yeah, and then Najara says, because everyone deserves to know the truth about someone they love.
And I love that Xena just gives her the most brutal side eye. Xena's just like, you're being such a jerk. I don't even know what that means, but I know it's directed at me.
Armand is trying to leave, and Xena steps in and says one more sort of like encouraging thing to him.
He needs so many pep talks for Armand.
Totally. And she's like basically saying that Armand, your pops was dirt.
Yeah, she's like, let it go.
Yeah,
let it go.
You're way better than him.
And this was the moment when she said that. You're 100 times who your father ever was. Yeah. That made me think of this thing, of him. Why is he like this? Because he went to boarding school, because he was removed from that life.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now it's morning, and Xena's pissed that Armand left, and she goes to Gabs because of your little friend. And then Gabs is, meanwhile, still trying to convince Xena that they should not take Najara back to prison. Xena's not having it. She says that she's the same zealot as before, only now more dangerous. How so? Mm-hmm. Because she's won you over.
Mm-hmm. Which is weird, because she'd won over Gabs in Crusader, so this is a return in some ways. I'm like, she's been this dangerous before. But it was a good burn.
mini burn. She's not as skilled.
I honestly was getting a little frustrated at this point, because this is maybe the fourth argument that Xena and Gabs have had about Najara, and that felt
too much
a little too much. Like, we get the debate. We get how you feel, Xena. Shut up, Xena. Like, we get it.
So Armand comes running in. He only left for a little bit, I guess. He's warning them that Crichton's men are indeed on their way to get revenge on Joxer for killing Crichton, and also, like, he's totally fine with the fact that his dad was a super warlord and is dead, and he's like, oh, it's fine now.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't kill you. I mean, you didn't kill my father. He lives where he's always lived, in here. I like when Joxer's like, let them come, it'll be a relief. Mm-hmm. Sad.
Well, they arrive, the goons attack, there's some spears that are thrown, and Xena catches them.
Are there some, ninja stars?
Yeah, she catches a spear, right in front of Joxer's face, then, the ninja stars come, and she kind of, blocks them with the spear. And she orders the blonde pacifist pixie cut brigade to clear the fuck out.
And out they clear.
Yeah, and then she also is like, okay, Joxer, take take Armand and Argo and like leave as well.
And they literally ride out of the episode never to return.
Yep.
It's a little odd.
Bye. Get to the good part.
Yeah. Then Xena takes the goons on all by herself. Gabrielle and Najara watch from the bushes.
This is a return to, Gab's original
Yeah.
seat in the theater for fights.
It's interesting now, though, because it's like the same but different, right?
Yeah.
So she literally kind of has to be here because she can't, help.
And that's an agonizing position
Yeah.
for her now because she knows she can do more.
Except get to my giant note. I'm so excited.
Oh, my goodness. All right, so Xena is fighting the
Half a page.
the goons, and... Wow, we have the most glorious slow-mo wound.
Yeah.
She gets a giant slash on her
Andrew's
thigh.
like, Rick, love me, Rick. I just want to impress you, Rick.
It's really horrible.
It's incredible.
I love that even, like, she's freaked out by it. There's, like, what? Because it's they went to town with this gigantic thigh wound. And then, in the trees, the Pixie Cut Brigade... So, like, Gabs tries to run in there to get to her because she's hurt.
This is the third episode in a row, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where Xena gets hurt and Gabs runs in.
Yes.
Or tries to run in.
Or tries to
Here,
run
She
big
can't
time.
run in because Najara is pulling her back by what little remains of her hair.
I know, she doesn't even
She
have
can't get free.
anything. How does she grip her that well?
She can't get out to Xena because she's getting her hair pulled.
I like that Najara, while doing this, is like, it's her way. Let her walk in alone.
This is fine.
Najara, I enjoy you so much.
Yeah, Gabrielle's like really struggling. I thought this was legit. Like it wasn't, fun and games anymore. Like it was real.
Yeah.
And then the djinn starts talking to Najara.
Yeah, this is where she gets the possessed voice,
Yeah.
which is a choice.
It's a
And
weird
there was
choice.
a mistake, I think.
I think absolutely. I didn't like the fisheye lens that they shoot her with during this djinn vision. This was just so different from the previous djinn talking to her, where it was, like heavenly
And it also
music.
feels like weird, real demons.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means.
I think that's a
Yeah.
specific choice.
You think
Yeah. I
they
think
wanted
it's-
the djinn
yeah.
to be demons here?
Well, I don't know if we wanted. Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, I think they were supposed to progress to be a little bit more leaning towards like schizophrenia and whatnot.
Yeah, you want it to be like a manifestation of voices that only but it just the way that they use the sound and the way that they use the camera, it just makes it seem like it's not. I don't know. I guess, do you think it's like reflecting her interiority?
Yeah,
You
big
do?
time. I
'Cause
think
it
she's-
reads to me immediately like it's like a real thing that's happening. That's like we can hear it.
But we
I don't
couldn't. I mean, Gabs can't hear it. That's why
Yeah,
she starts.
she
wailing
starts-
on
okay,
her.
I missed
freaking
that.
out.
Noted.
Yeah.
All right, then good.
Because
Fine.
Najara, like
That's good then.
I think at this point you really are supposed to be like, are these djinn real? She goes, listen, Gabrielle, like you have to
Oh,
listen.
okay, that's
and
good.
Gab's
I don't.
like,
I
can't hear anything.
I kind of missed that.
Yeah, she's like, don't say that. I
yeah,
guess because Gabs has said no.
Exactly.
Yeah. The djinn get mad when you say that. Yeah.
Right. These are very specific lines about kind of like the weakness of Najara that's like underneath, and she's she's losing it here, like big time. She's unraveling. That's why the camera work, I think, works for me, because it's very manic, very like crazy.
You really feel like a switch is just kind
Yeah,
of
and I
flipped.
think that is deliberately different than how we saw it. She was so put together. Remember her, outfit, just everything about her.
Yes, so stiff.
Yes,
good
exactly,
posture.
exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a completely different lady.
I mean, but we remarked about how when she was in battle, it was a different story. She suddenly became this really intense, violent person,
Yeah.
screaming and grinning.
Right, so maybe like
Yeah.
she was able to control
Compartmentalize
that,
it.
and control it a lot more than you see exactly that. Like she gets back to that battle craziness.
Yeah, which was great to see.
But
I'm still not. I just don't like this. To me, there's something that feels like a cop out. Like even though you're right that this is something that has been a part of the character all along, and we were talking about the djinn as mental illness in Crusader in part because we knew what was going to happen here. But I
Right.
felt like it veers so far in this direction of just making Najara. She's not right. Look at how she just turns on Gabs, the one person she's supposed to really care about. I felt like there was something too easy about that. I thought the choice she presented to Gabs was so juicy and interesting, and here she kind of negates it by actively trying to hurt her.
Well, maybe you would be okay with it if the rest of the episode wasn't filled up by Joxer.
Maybe.
And you would have had more of this story, which, like, that's what I think is the problem with this episode.
Yeah.
You know? It's just not
They were
enough.
really leaning, you had Xena, like, hurling all these slurs about mental illness, and then the episode's like, guess what? She's a crazy bitch, kill her. And you're like, what?
They also dropped the ball with the fight. And then, like, the ultimate end of this character. Because, like, now they go into, like, this fucking crazy tree fight that just, like, it doesn't match the tone of the rest of the episode.
Oh, big time.
And it's these two amazing characters doing this just ridiculous looking shit. It's just one of those moments where, like, the show being the show isn't working.
But this is, like, it really reminded me of Callisto.
Like, they wanted it to be that, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's just, like, they literally, like, fly, like, Najara does, like, crazy, flippy, millions of feet into the air stuff that I don't understand how.
And she has cracked ribs still, and a concussion.
But how is she doing that?
Well, we know she's as skilled as Xena in fighting from the episode where she almost kills Xena.
That she was as skilled in this level of doing crazy flippity doos like into the sky.
She is.
That was not expressed earlier.
I just did not need it as much as I didn't need the ladder fight in Callisto. I certainly did not need a fucking like vines fight in this one.
I hated even more than the fight choreography, the lines. They give Najara all these like video game boss lines.
Oh
like,
my God.
The light will triumph, Xena. Just these like dumb. I don't know.
Didn't she
it's
say
really
that in
disappointing.
the other episode?
Yeah, but she said it in a way that felt motivated, where here it just felt like it was to fill up screen time, Like, I need to say something as I fight. It was just really
I think
awkward.
it was like Najara best ofs.
Yeah. It was. She was like, I'm done with all my birds, so now I just have to say these, like, come and get me.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Guide my hand to its destiny.
Hey, that was good. Hey,
that
don't
was
go
pretty
there
good.
yet.
That's the only one I wrote down.
Yeah.
Good bloody face makeup on Xena.
Yeah, well...
Oh, yeah, that's the best part.
How about the best part being when Najara punches her in her giant thigh wound and then takes that blood and smears it on Xena's face and then smears it on her own face and makes
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
It was epic. It was really
It should
good.
have just been that kind of shit, not Najara doing flippity doos.
Okay,
anyway,
not a giant thing of Xena climbing up on a vine while Najara's positioned like over her lap as if she's gonna spank her.
Oh,
there was so much of that. Yeah,
weird.
Yeah, I hated the kneeing in the stomach to like progress her up the vine.
I hated that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I appreciate the creativity involved.
No,
I do. I think they do a lot of interesting stuff and like amazing stunt work and all sorts of craziness. They're like, Zoe probably in here just doing like so much fun shit. But like, I did not need it here. But then she does stab her and it is pretty effective. And then it's great when they get back all the way down on the ground again. Gabrielle kind of gives Xena a little dirty look for a second.
Really? I did not see
it. There's a lot of people side-eyeing everybody all over the place.
She's like,
there's a little
you
bit
stabbed
of a,
her, Xena.
It's kind of like that. It's like, really? Like, it's like, yeah, did you not see the crazy, like, shit that was happening?
We gotta talk about that part where she gets the dagger in her teeth.
Oh, yeah, that was good. That was good stuff.
Pretty fun.
Oh, man.
I did write that down. Those were the two things I wrote down. Knife and mouth situation, good bloody face, and guide my hand to its destiny.
Yeah,
that's all we need.
It's weird because this fight was so cartoonish, but it had these hardcore moments kind of buried in it. And
that was like a real Najara. Like, I believed that was something she could do. Which is like crawl upside down on a vine, pick up a knife
with her mouth
and then crawl back up upside down. Well, I liked the guy my hand to its destiny. I mean, we have the old who's gonna stab who, you know, and
yeah,
then
I really liked how that.
see,
you can do it well. Remember how they played
Milo?
this with Milo,
Yeah.
and we were like, "Why Milo?" But with Najara, I'm like, "Sure, of course, Najara might be the one."
Yeah,
to do the stabbing.
I thought she was genuinely shocked to find out that it's gonna stab herself, like, because she believes that is what the Jinn wants.
Yeah,
you
guide
know?
my hand.
So-
You're right. You're in retrospect, it's a good line, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so on the fence about this whole last kind
Oh
of
yeah, it
beat
should totally
for
be better.
Najara.
Yeah,
like, it's
absolutely.
Just,
She's
it feels
in a
like
coma.
a bit of a character assassination.
Yeah.
Like,
No, she's still alive.
Yeah, she's in the like prison with some nuns.
Yeah, the sisters are taking care of her.
Nun
She's still
prison.
alive because they're like she's gonna come back.
Yeah,
but
but
Catherine
yeah.
Morris is like, bye.
I'm gonna do a career. See you later.
Gotta do Pensacola.
I'm bummed. I'm bummed that this is how this character goes out. I do feel
agree.
like she was so interesting, and Chris Mannheim did a great job of towing that line of, making her an interesting character and, really putting pressure on the relationship of Xena and Gabs. And then kind of throws down all the cards at the end and is like, nope, And yeah, I mean, maybe I'm glad the character doesn't come back because I'm not sure what they could do with her now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say. A little frustrating because I think this episode is smart and it does a really good job for most of its run. It's really like in the last 5 minutes or so where it lost me a bit. So
But
close.
the last exchange is good.
That's true.
They leave her with the nun prison, and Gabrielle is kind of going on like, I thought she had changed. You did, which is a nice thing.
But
to
then,
say.
I like that Xena actually says, so did you. That's new that Xena stresses the ways in which Gabrielle has changed. You've changed in ways that have shown me choices I'd have never have known without you. So I love that there's Xena saying something really nice about the pacifism. Up until now, we've maybe talked about it more as her tolerating and supporting it. But here she's really complimenting it.
Well, this is they do like I say something nice about your way and you say something nice about my way.
But it still ends with what we know is like gonna be like just I mean, I guess there's no way to know per se, but like I feel like you could have a decent guess that like this is like an unsustainable future because Gabrielle's just like, I get that violence is necessary in some instances, but like I can't do it. And Xena is just like, you don't have to with me around, which is just so upsetting to me because she's just going to take on all of the burden of doing everything. Mm-hmm. It's so it's good. It's like it's nice and it's awful at the same time.
I agree. It reminds me a lot of the conversation that they had at the end of Locked Up and Tied Down, where Gabrielle kind of voiced that sentiment. With me around, you won't have to. Like, I'm here for you to deal with the dark stuff.
Yeah. It's sort of like this weird full circle thing that's come around where it's just like Xena originally started traveling with this like sweet baby angel that she didn't want anything to happen to. She barely even wanted to teach her how to fight. And now we got to the point where she's like done murders. She's done all the fighting and like doesn't want to do it anymore. So it's like kind of like, I will take on all of the bad things for you again, sweet baby angel, Gabrielle.
This was a good episode.
I think it is. Yeah. It's almost great.
Yeah. It would be great if it was 2 different episodes.
Yeah, I think so. It does considering that big weakness, it does a really good job with both these plots. It's just, I wish it had a little more time with that Najara plot, especially.
Big time, yeah.
That's just such a complicated scenario, and it just doesn't work as a B plot. It's just confusing. And when it becomes the big fight scene at the end, you're like, wait, now the B plot is the big fight scene, and it's out of some completely different episode.
Right, I mean, and visually too, like it just doesn't match the rest of what Andrew Merrifield was doing. Well, it's definitely...
You know what's bad?
Yeah, it's definitely better than this.
All right.
All right, let's move on to this piece of poop.
Do we have to? I mean,
We do.
I think, yes, clearly we have decided to tack it on to an episode, which we haven't done in a long time.
Right. I mean, we could have done a full episode about this, but we were trying to spare you guys.
I just think that, like, what would happen is that because this episode is so slight, that it would just be, here's what's happening in this scene. Oh, here's an almost funny joke. Here's the plots that are happening, and I don't know.
Yeah, how many times can you say it's Minya in the bedroom with the knife?
Oh my god,
or
so
whatever.
many times.
Yeah, let's talk about this, because what I really want to talk about with this episode is why does it fail so hard?
Yeah, so let's introduce the
episode. Let's introduce the episode. This is 419, Takes One to Know One, written by Jeff Vlaming and directed by Christopher Graves.
Christopher Graves, we just had, he directed Plays the Thing. He's famous for Porcules, as Vera pointed out. So this is definitely from the director of Porcules. Jeff Vlaming is a new name for Xena, but he has extensive TV credits.
Yeah, this was surprising.
He had written 2 episodes of The X-Files, Too Shy.
Which? Oh.
And some other one.
Yeah, Too Shy's good.
The other one.
Here, I got him.
Too Shy's.
He also directed, or not directed, written.
It's gross.
It's a good episode.
I mean, yeah, but it's like
Hell Money.
Yeah, so it's a bad one, but that one has Lucy Liu.
It does have Lucy Liu.
And Too Shy's good. He also did some terrible episodes of Battlestar Galactica.
Which one?
He was, I can tell you, The Captain's Hand, Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, which does have a great name. And Litmus.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you're interested in Ellen Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down.
What about his Fringe episodes, Vera? They're
I mean, to me, when I saw that name, I was like, oh my god, that's such a familiar name, and it was mainly because of Fringe. He was like
he wrote
bigger...
White Tulip.
Oh, an excellent episode of Fringe.
Exactly. So he bettered himself as he went along, I think.
Nice.
He also worked on Northern Exposure, Weird Science, Xena, Cleopatra 2525, NCIS, Numbers, Reaper, Stargate, SGU.
Lots of credits.
Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf.
He's one of the major writers on Hannibal, and now a major writer on Outcast. So
good Hannibals?
He's a very successful TV writer. Yeah. Lots of different Hannibals. It's definitely a name where, like, Vera saw that name and went Battlestar Galactica.
No,
I saw
said
that name.
Fringe. Right. Well, I think much like Terrence Winter, his Xena
not
gift to us
representative.
is not,
This episode is we are the 19th episode of season 4, so we're about to enter the, like, final stretch of the season.
He also wrote Purity, you guys. Ooh.
Oh no.
Season 5.
Yeah.
Good times. So, like, Xena definitely not the best.
I think it's worse for him than for Terrence Winter.
Yeah, yikes.
So, to start off with, this is a murder mystery episode. And it is in between. We had the India arc, big, important storyline. We had, admittedly, a comedy after that was admittedly a comedy. Obviously, it's a comedy. Like, a fun, smart thing that was doing something interesting after a whole big arc.
And was talking about violence and pacifism, so it was on theme.
The next 2 episodes are what basically are the finales of the season, though there is, of course, the finale of the season. Why is this here?
Right. So this is a great example of what we were talking about.
I know why.
Okay.
Well, this was a great example of what we were talking about in the last episode, where instead of this, we could have had, like, a complete, like, this could have been the Joxer episode. If that other one was the Najara one, this could have been not the murder mystery, but you could have had an episode about Joxer losing his blood innocence right here. Serious episode, no need for this.
Sure. Or, like, I think, Liv, you brought up, like, on the Jackson Upperco site that, you know, there was that sort of criticism that there could have been more before we got to the end with Gabrielle's pacifism arc. And, like, here's a spot for maybe some more of that.
I think that's exactly why I'm fed up with this episode, is that it's a waste of space when you really have so much delicious material to work with. And you see it just drops the ball. It has really nothing about anything that's going on in it.
And when we've had such a great season with continuity and stuff, it's just kind of like, here's an episode. And I kind of feel weird being, like, super mean to it, which I feel like we're going to be. But, like, because it's not it's almost like it's not even like bad enough to be like super like offensive or anything. It's just like there.
Yeah.
It's like
it's no
some
vanishing
of it
act.
is funny.
If it had appeared in like maybe, you know, like a silly stretch of season 3 or obviously in season 2, you'd be like, oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
You know, I had a nice time. But because of its strategic placement here, it just
It's like, what's happening?
is an infuriating
Why
episode.
is it Gabrielle's birthday? What's going on?
Yeah.
So yeah, my reasoning for why it's here is that it is quite clearly a bottle episode.
Sure.
So they needed to save some money. But they haven't come up with a script that really takes advantage of the bottle.
But remember, like, how half
have.
of One Against an Army is a bottle?
Right.
And, like, that's the most important episode of the show. So
previously
you
done
can do it.
Such a good job with bottles. Yeah.
Couldn't they have done a bottle episode like they get trapped with Najara in her prison or something? You know what I mean? Like, literally all of that.
And just
kind
they have
of
to
stuff.
talk about all
they have
kinds
to talk
of.
to her, and that's
Oh my
like
god!
the
Everybody
worst.
would be so mad about the episode, though. They're like, "Oh, what is this?" And then,
Well,
she plays the thing with all you do is talk about.
Do you think a murder mystery format works for Xena? Do you think this was a good idea?
Well, they try everything.
They do,
and I will give it props for being like, what genre did they not do? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very few. I don't necessarily think that it's the best match in the way that, like, the whole fairy tale situation was a little odd in the way that it played out earlier. Although I think we have better versions of it later, as we said.
You mean if the shoe fits?
Yeah, if the shoe fits. I think they do it better later. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really. It's not my genre in the first place.
It made me think of. I've forgotten the name of the episode, but the second Meleager episode was sort of a murder mystery. But that at least was about, Gabrielle's loyalty to Meleager and, who really did the killing. Oh, it was Xena, LOL.
This was literally about nothing.
This was like a fun, like, let's do Clue. I'm sure
cool.
there's like Star Trek episodes like this.
Sure.
That they were like, let's do
Right,
that.
don't they go into the holodeck?
Yeah, all that stuff.
It's like a holodeck episode of
Yeah, this is a holodeck episode of Xena. And I personally thought everybody was extremely out of character. It's like insane.
There were a lot of weird,
stuff.
characterization issues. I must say, I'm contractually obligated to say justice for Cyrene. I did not appreciate the way Cyrene came across in this episode.
She had my best moment, though, of the episode.
Yeah, which was that?
So I was like watching it, minding my own business, taking notes. Completely didn't remember anything about this episode. And then she does her joke. I guess she likes her pears bruised.
Oh, God.
And I fucking,
Vera.
I guffawed. Like, it was unintentionally funny to me.
The part that saved that joke for me, which was an awful joke, was the fact that they were like, well, she is your mother.
Gabrielle, that's what made me laugh. Gabrielle being like, she's your mother.
I was like, because Xena makes those terrible sex jokes all the time.
Crazy.
Have I missed the part where that's the thing Xena
so
does?
Unexpected.
Xena does lines. That was not a line.
No.
What's happening?
What is
in
this episode?
They've gone to, Xena shows up in Amphipolis at her mom's tavern.
Which should immediately be exciting that we're doing like a family affair, but in Xena's family this time.
Yeah.
But it is so not that.
But really, it's like everyone is there for a surprise party for Gabs, who has been separated from Xena for what seems like at least a few days, is trailing behind, and then there's just a murder plot.
Right, because there's this...
That's the episode.
Yeah, there's a bounty hunter there, and she's sexy.
She looks like...
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Exactly.
She does. Now I wish this was like my Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Oh my god, that would be
That would be the
amazing.
greatest episode of Xena.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is clearly based on like an Agatha Christie or an Arthur Conan Doyle. You have the cozy tavern setting and the very constricted circumstances so that only these 6 characters could be suspects in the murder.
I didn't think it was cozy.
We have Lilla.
It was scary.
It should have been cozier. That's one of my criticisms of Christopher Graves.
Her tavern was huge.
I was like, she lives in a castle now, and it was insane.
Like, I was a little off-put by the
Yeah.
representation of
And
Cyrene's Tavern.
It was a storm, so like it was scary.
a dark and stormy night.
Exactly. And it kind of reminded me, especially with the bounty hunter in her hood, of when the hobbits go to that restaurant.
Right,
to
also
meet
a
Aragorn.
scary tavern.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think one thing they could have done to up the magic of this episode, because the things I like about it are that it has this kind of found family quality. You have these characters who you like, you're putting them all in a room celebrating Gabs' birthday. You have all these little beats that make you go, oh, like Xena and Gabs are married. Like their families have kind of been knit together and now celebrate holidays
nice.
together. It's a nice scenario. But yeah, one issue I had was that it just wasn't cozy enough. Like, there are only a few lines, really, where I was like, oh, that's what it's like when Xena visits home. Like, that little bit about the smallest bedroom, which she hates because the bed's too small.
Yeah,
I thought that was so cute, but then you see it, and it's not even that cozy and cute.
Yeah.
The only thing that's cute about that set is the way she's hung her breastplate on the wall. I thought that was a really nice detail. But there were so few of those. It didn't really feel lived in, that set.
Right.
Maybe it was such a bubble episode that they literally had no, like...
Yeah.
We'll just use this.
They didn't do
other
any
thing.
set decoration to make this more magical.
It also is unfortunate that it's the last Autolycus episode, is it not?
It is.
Yeah.
This is it. He goes on to do Jack of all trades, and they don't get
They
him
forget
back.
about
Yeah, he
him.
doesn't get like send off or anything. I will say that there are a few like good Bruce and Lucy interactions because I don't know what it is about them, but
man,
like
yeah.
they just like I don't know. It's magical.
I love that bit where he first is introduced, and you can tell there's something shady going on between him and Ravenica, the Jennifer Jason Leigh knockoff.
The dead lady.
Yeah, the dead lady.
Whose murder they're trying to solve.
But I liked that he's giving these inadequate excuses for why he's shown up for the birthday party, which is so funny because of course he's part of the family. Of course, no one
was
would
invited.
be surprised that he's there. But he's like, oh, I love cake and ice cream, and Xena just like makes such a face at him, just like I can't even describe it. She just sort of like bares her teeth and like, oh yeah, you're such a funny guy.
It's the best. Yeah, that's exactly the moment that I mean. Like, yeah, just something.
She always finds places to kind of play up their
Sarcasm.
particular,
Awesome.
Well, Minnie's also there,
Yes, we just saw her as well, so she's kind of like.
but it was weird. I don't know. It was weird that they invited Minnie.
How does
little
okay? So like,
weird.
what?
Yeah.
This is weird. Like, this isn't even like part of the episode. So like, not to get bogged down, but like, so Xena or Gabs must have like wrote like, "Hey, we're coming for a visit." And then someone was like, well, it's Joxer, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's Gabrielle's, but like, did he write that ahead? Like, what was the deal with, like, he got there first? What's happening?
Yeah, how do you organize a
Like-
surprise party in ancient
Like,
Greece?
Joxer went,
It would take
to
like
town
half a year
first,
just
and
sending
then
all those messages.
they all decided that they were going to do this. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Minya has the best lines of the episode, I would say. She's the most in character of the people there.
Sure.
What's the out of characterness of which we speak?
Well, I find both Lilla and Cyrene really inadequate.
Yeah.
Neither of them gets nice moments with their respective family members. And I found something just fundamentally off about both of their performances. I feel like they didn't have a lot of weight. They both seemed sort of lost in the episode. I'm not sure if that was a directing issue or, both actresses just being like, I don't quite know what to do here. Yeah, I honestly just felt that both were not the characters that I liked.
All right, I'm going to explain it sort of also dealing with the plot. So the whole point of this episode is that we're introduced to Discord, who has not appeared on this program. She
appeared very briefly in The Deliverer.
Oh, she did?
For one scene.
Okay. Well, she's hanging out on Hercules all the time. Yeah. She's the goddess of revenge.
Discord.
Well, yeah.
Well, I think she
Retribution.
Retribution, right.
But only
right.
for this episode is what I am given to understand from fan
really?
reactions.
Okay.
I guess on Hercules she just is Discord. But
Sure.
here she had to have this retribution angle in order to make the mystery solving make sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
She's put the timer on.
yeah,
the episode.
she is like, there's a dead lady here, and I need the murderer, and you have until sunrise to give me this murderer.
Or I'll take one of your family.
Right, exactly.
It's my Discord voice.
But we're not at that, so you're like married with fish sticks Discord. And then she, of course, like is like, oh, never mind, like it's earlier than that. She gives him an hourglass, whatever. But they have to find somebody there murdered this woman, and they have to like find the murderer, right? What I find so out of character is this is a really intense situation, right?
yeah.
And they all comedically like go with it and accuse each other of murder. They're family and close family and friends.
Yeah.
And they are legitimately spending this entire episode trying to prove that
One of them did a murder.
this. Like I was like, what are you guys doing?
It's pretty intense, yeah.
I also just hated Discord's whole like presence in this episode. It felt very Hercules to me. We actually haven't had a Greek god in this season of Xena.
I was about to say,
I did not miss them.
It is the first, like, in a while of, like, just feeling, like, different than the season because there isn't that much this season.
Right.
Like, Ares isn't even in this season.
I guess we did have Aphrodite. But
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
count her. She's amazing.
This one had that same joke, right? So every time Discord came, she had like a shirtless, topless, handsome
And they're
boy.
more and more as
And
the
then
episode
more
goes
like
by.
the last one
I mean,
was
that
like
was
full of
kinda
them,
funny.
and they were her swimming instructors, as you recall.
Yes, I do.
But yeah, it just felt wrong to me. I hated the device that she puts this ticking clock on the mystery solving, but then keeps showing up before the clock. I just got so sick of seeing her. I was just like, let them solve the fucking mystery, woman.
Yeah, well, she was like putting pressure on.
To me, it just felt
Yeah,
repetitive.
she, like, every
as
time they
storytelling.
thought that they solved it, she would appear.
If she
Right.
had just appeared once much earlier than they expected and was like, guess what, guys? Like, you have to solve it right now. Like, that would have been upsetting and stressful. But as it was, she showed up every 5 minutes.
'Cause every
and you
time-
get tired of her.
But it was like every time that they thought they had the murderer, like she would appear ready to kill them. But alas, each time they were wrong.
And each time they hadn't even really accused each other. They literally just kind of said it in a more casual way and she'd show up. So and throughout the episode, they're like, no, don't say it. Otherwise she's going to show up again.
Yeah, I mean, she shoots that arrow at Cyrene, who was our number one suspect.
I love that Cyrene was the number one suspect. I mean, that is the one plus to this episode.
It was a nice moment when they have the whole, like, you know, mothers protecting their children thing, and there's a part where, like, she plays with Xena's hair, and it's cute.
Yeah.
I also liked
I'm
her
sorry,
in
I'm
the
grasping
kitchen.
at things that I think were good.
There were little silent beats. Yes, Irene in the kitchen with Xena. Like, I thought,
With a knife. With a candlestick.
I want to hold on to these things because, like I said, I actually thought Cyrene's characterization didn't work for me. Moments like that bruised pear line, and even her just like being.
Maybe she had. Did you see all those empty like beer steins?
think she was
Maybe
just
she was a
drunk?
little drunk.
That
Yeah.
would make a lot
Like
of
when
sense.
Buffy's mom had schnapps. That one.
Yeah.
She's having a party, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just something. That's. I gotta admit that's the only reason I actually dislike this episode.
I'm
How
so
dirty it treats Irene.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just like flipping through my notes and like just seeing like tiny moments that were like amusing, but they don't have anything to do with anything. You know what I mean?
What's
like
an
that's
amusing moment?
I feel like I can understand the appeal of like if you just like this episode for being fun. Like there are just like fun things and lines, but like they could be funnier.
Yeah, and I feel like you have all these great, amusing actors, and you know they all have these different relationships with each other. You could have really milked that. You could have. What's interesting to me is this episode really doesn't have subplots. You can't look at it and be like, oh, like
Yeah,
here's the
subplots,
human
yeah.
story where like these two characters are like hate each other but then like each other by the end or something.
Right.
Like, instead, it's literally just we're solving the mystery, and every joke is kind of about solving the mystery, and
Right.
it's so linear, and hence it's kind of boring to me.
Yeah, that's why I feel like if we were like going through it scene by scene, we would just be like reading the transcript. Like, you know what I mean? So like, oh, here's this one's funny. It's like, oh, Xena has a giant key in her boobs.
That was
Oh, yeah,
great.
It's so large.
I liked it.
So
I
big.
shoved it back in there.
I didn't like when she said correctamundo. I don't know why.
Olivia hated that.
I
I
said said I didn't like it.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did not like it. I was like, I don't think she would say correctum mundi.
I liked when Gabrielle starts trying to solve the mystery, and like her trying to solve it was like kind of as bad as her directing a play.
Oh, pacifist Gabrielle poisoned a lady.
Yeah.
To give her the runs.
That's
nuts.
How would she, like, she tries to take a swig of her water, right? She put Joxer's gravy in there.
How do you even get gravy into a water skin? That seems hard.
She would know immediately that it wasn't water.
Yeah.
Maybe it only takes one drop.
I mean, it probably does. That stuff's potent.
So yeah, I love the continuity they choose to adhere to from the season.
Right, and
the
Sickness in Hell is in there. There were a few. I mean, I like the fact that the Furies got some mentions because Cyrene did it.
Cyrene did it. I mean, I like that they legitimately thought Cyrene like for a reason, because she's done a murder before to protect Xena.
But yeah, it's something.
Do it again because Ravenica was after her with the bounty.
That's such a serious situation, and it was such a serious situation in the Furies. And seeing it come up here in this like funny way.
Yeah.
I guess that's part of why I was like, what are you doing to Cyrene? You know, like using her like painful past and her tendency to murder people is like a joke. It seems so wrong to me.
Oh no!
I did like just what a badass she did seem even here, like the fact that she gets in on the fight at the end.
She tries to. They put her with the pacifist group, and she tries
like,
to go for it. Yeah,
and also that she recognizes that Ravenica is a bounty hunter in the first place, which this lady's been around. She's seen the world, and like the world comes to her in this tavern. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Clue, the movie.
Okay,
and how I would rather watch that than. Well, I mean, I think that I was just so annoyed that, like, I mean, obviously, like you said, Agatha Christie, all kinds of murder mystery antecedents and whatnot, and then specifically the 80s movie Clue, which for me was really popular growing up, and like I watched it a lot, and like this episode is clearly referencing that it's doing that.
Clue.
Also, obviously
they
the game,
literally reference
which is a
Clue
movie.
over and over again,
and that's what was so annoying to me about how they were trying to do like Clue the movie, except for that they would make jokes like Joxer would be like, Minya in the bedroom with a knife, and then she'd be like, "I'll get a clue." Yeah, I'd be like, "No,
I'll go play the board game we're ripping off for this episode."
Don't mention it. But they also do the
later they're like, "This isn't a game, Joxer."
They also do one of what I think for me was like, I feel a like formative cinema thing, which is that Clue is famous for having like alternate endings, and then you can watch like where it like has it all, they all play out at once, where it's like it'll do the climax of the movie and then it stops and goes like,
or it could have ended this way.
That was how it could have happened. This is how it really happened. Does it like 3 times, and it does that. This episode does that. It has moments where it's like no, and it stops and like does something else. Like Joxer says, like that's not how it happened. This is how it happened.
Right. I forgot about
that. It has
that.
It does that.
Right.
I
You see the
cute.
scene the different ways.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cute, but I was also confused because that's the only time in the episode where that happens. And I was
know.
like, why haven't we been seeing like the unreliable narrator throughout? They literally was just for that one.
It was only so that you could
sequence.
have. Well, it was really about Autolycus being like romantic, with Ravenica.
Yeah.
And that was fake.
That was fake. He would never.
Yeah, he was there instead.
Auto Xena forever.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the
real version was.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And also, nothing is as funny as anything in Clue in this episode.
I thought it was really weird the blocking of
episode.
The blocking of not the blocking, but like the staging of where the stable was. I didn't even think it was a stable. I thought these horses were parked right outside the windows under a storm, and I was like, "This is so weird and rude to just put him under outside."
It means those rooms all smell like shit.
Yeah, it looks Irene. Yeah, come on.
Okay. Well, anyway, Argo did it.
Yeah, Argo did it.
This is ripping
in self-defense.
This is ripping off a famous Sherlock Holmes story in which the horse did it. I won't tell you which one, so as not to spoil it, I guess. But yeah, so it's not even like a creative solution to the mystery.
Oh, we're being so mean.
I'm sorry.
Maybe we should just...
I'm sorry,
let
Jeff
this
Blaming.
episode be.
They
and
also-
everybody can just go watch it and enjoy it for the light piece of 45-minute entertainment that it is.
The nice thing about it is that all the characters, it basically turns out their motive is protecting Xena, which is
it's
really
lovely.
sweet.
even people, like Lila and Minya, who go and try to hobble Ravinica's horse, which is a pretty hardcore thing for
No,
them to do.
they were not trying to do
Isn't that what they were trying to do?
No, they were trying to like free the horse. So
Oh,
the
they were
horse
trying
runs
to
away.
free the horse. Why did
No,
they
it's
have a knife?
to cut the
rope.
reins.
Oh, cut the reins.
Cut the rope.
I totally
sorry.
thought they were pulling a Ravinica
No,
on Ravinica's horse.
no.
That would have been more
Jeez
hardcore.
Louise.
I did
No
like.
way.
I liked the setup of that. Argo is pissed that people keep running into her butt. I guess because when Joxer like flies out the window and like kind of lands on her, she's like, "What the fuck?" So it was a setup
I
for
see.
like the next
Argo
time
was
someone
having a bad night.
Yeah.
I did think it was absurd that Ravinica is trying to cut the tendon like through the window.
Yeah.
Like she's so
She's a
awkward.
lazy bitch.
So yeah, Argo did it. Argo's a murderer too. The cycle of violence
Oh
continues.
my god, Argo's blood innocence. Oh no.
Lilla and Joxer continues to be a thing.
Yeah.
That started in Family Affair, so there's a little Family Affair continuity too.
Yeah, she was writing him a love letter.
Yeah, soaked in lavender perfume.
See, this is where I'm like, they really have the opportunity to go with this relationship.
That could have been a fun subplot
No.
in this
They
episode.
just do not.
I mean,
go there.
sure, but I like Joxer's situation.
I mean,
pining.
yeah, but it's just pining.
No,
and then
not
ending up
pining
with,
for Gabrielle.
Doing
Like,
what?
I like
Meg.
his
Oh,
his
Meg.
actual lifelong
Meg.
relationship.
Yeah. He has so many women. My
Yeah.
God.
Right.
I do like the bit. One more bit I
Okay.
like. Gads, when she first arrives and sees the dead body and just assumes Xena did it.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
Xena's
God.
like, no, it wasn't me. And,
that's
and her
good.
reaction is like, oh, that's good.
That's good. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's always okay. So the whole thing has also been her birthday, and then it ends with them like singing that crazy like birthday song at her,
Ooh, that
and
was
then
a
it's
cute
over.
ending. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also really liked before we conclude that when Gabrielle is doing her like attempt at solving it, there's a shot of Xena frustrated with her hand on her face, like, oh my god, this is terrible.
That's a good reaction gift. That's us watching this episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it ends, with the birthday. And it's interesting that we never see Xena's birthday on this show, but
That's
we see
true.
Gabrielle's like
twice.
Yeah. It's like a
Which
thing.
is a nice tradition.
Cute, yeah.
That when you need a cute episode, make it Gabrielle's birthday.
It's almost like the writer of the Xena Scrolls only remembers her own birthday.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny.
All right, we
that
did
seems
it.
in character anyway.
We're done with this one.
Yeah.
We're gonna miss you, Bruce.
Yeah,
It's
really.
been fun. I can't believe we've reached
not
the
gonna
end of his episodes.
I love Xena Autolycus, my second favorite.
Yeah, but like all his
show.
episodes are just random.
I know, it's weird, right? He elevates like
He
some
gave
pretty
Irene diamonds.
weird material.
What is it?
Yeah,
Clear
that was
gold.
nice.
That's what Joxer called
Yeah,
it.
that was a good beat.
Yeah.
What- I don't know
There's
what
lots
Irene's
of
gonna
little
do with them.
moments. Like go.
She's gonna live in a bigger
She
castle.
should remodel her fucking castle so the stables isn't right next
Yeah.
door to the bedroom.
I think everyone should go watch this episode and like find all the tiny little moments and lines that they think are funny, and
And enjoy them.
yeah, and enjoy it.
We're done with it.
Yeah.
though. So. Yay! Follow us on all the stuff and the things.
Yeah. Oh, and watch Ash versus Evil Dead because it's
Yeah.
on.
And send us questions for the mailbag.
Yes,
We
it's
should
soon.
begin
Oh
with
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Soon.
We're doing that soon. So if you want to send season 4 related questions
Or
that would
any
be
other
great,
questions.
but also any questions.
Don't, anything goes.
And what else? Following the
Yeah, the
stuff,
things
the
and the
usual
stuffs.
stuff. XenaWarriorPodcast.com. Please find us on Apple Podcasts where you can like, rate, and leave a review if you are so inclined. We are on Twitter at XenaWarriorPod and Facebook and Tumblr and Instagram at XenaWarriorPodcast. Patreon, super cool stuff going on over there. What's the website for that? Patreon.com/XenaWarriorPodcast. I think that's most of the stuff, right?
You did our actual website, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We have one of those, and then like all of it is there. If you go to the website, oh my god.
Yay!
Whoa,
The
yay.
power!
The passion.
The podcast!